We see governance as a foundation that will enable and allow operators like Globe Telecom to really scale AI responsibly.
Welcome back to our interview series. We are now at the ATxEnterprise show, part of the ATX at Singapore, taking place at the Singapore Expo. And with me today, I have Derick Adil, who is the Senior Director and Head of AI and Privacy Governance, Globe Telecom. And I think Mr. Derick here will be talking to us about a number of interesting developments from Globe and also on the major themes that are influencing the way telecoms is evolving today. And one of the first ones you would have guessed would be about AI, right?
Yeah.
And AI is the big topic today. And, we know that it's moving rapidly. From the earlier use cases, maybe in customer experience to now network optimization, we see it, fraud management, sustainability, people are using AI to make things more efficient. Okay, so how is Globe leveraging AI?
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here, Tara. So AI is becoming a core operational capability for Globe. So it's not just a productivity tool. We take advantage of the technology. Currently, we take advantage of it for customer experience, as what you mentioned earlier. It's being used for finance, fraud management, network optimization. So we use it a lot. We use it to help our teams to make faster and more informed decisions while improving resiliency and trust. The key really here is to make sure that we get to take advantage of AI as a technology and make sure that it's an augmentation to human expertise and not really replacing accountability, especially for telco like telecoms, right?
Yes.
So we want to be able to make sure that for telco sector, speed without governance, it easily can become a risk.
Yes, exactly. And you are right, because those are one of the biggest concerns, because when you look at operators, we are dealing with customers, real people, lots of data with a lot of sensitive information, their call records, their personal information. And when you just slap on AI onto processes, you have to be very careful. You have to govern it properly. You have to have the guardrails. And I guess, that is one of the biggest questions that, responsible telcos will definitely want to answer before, they move on into AI at full speed, right?
Definitely.
And I think for Globe, I think, you guys are very fast in adopting, newer technologies and then improving your customer services. And I guess, this is one of the questions that you will have to address to go along. And you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, and definitely to your point, because we are touching actual people, customers' lives. So we really have to make sure that we're doing it and we're using it responsibly.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so, the other thing that we want to talk about is, your approach to ensuring these AI systems remain trustworthy, and well-governed would require resources as well. You need to, put in some investment into making sure you build the necessary safeguards, the guardrails that we talked about. So do you train people, and how do you acquire that level of assurance to make sure that, your AI projects are well governed?
Yeah, so from a governance standpoint, Globe's approach to governance is always grounded on responsible and risk-based governance.
Okay.
So the focus has always been privacy, embedding privacy, security, and human oversight at the start of the life cycle.
All right.
And even all throughout the life cycle.
Okay.
Not an afterthought, not as a second-class citizen, or not as a last-minute compliance checklist that
It's right there at the beginning.
It's right there at the beginning. Because we believe that trust should be part of how systems should be designed.
All right. Okay.
Which is very important, especially for a telco, right? To your other question, we don't see governance as a blocker to innovation. We see governance as a foundation that will enable and allow operators like Globe Telecom to really scale AI responsibly.
Okay, so it basically gives you the assurance
Yes.
to get this done fully, right? So you don't have any inhibition because, like you said, governance is built in.
It's built in. It's part of the process. It's shift left and not an afterthought.
Yes, exactly. So that's the entire paradigm shift that we see today.
Yes.
Because one of the biggest concerns is that people say that you have a lot of sensitive data and you're using AI. And then another thing, you use AI in a lot of decision making, agentic
Yes.
AI, for example. So how do you make sure that these decisions that happen without human oversight are actually correct? You know, I mean, AI has its so many challenges like hallucination. You know, you don't know the integrity of the data that it's processing, and therefore we don't know whether the decisions are applicable, they're effective. You know, are they relevant, contextual to our needs? So yeah, like you said, if you have those governance built in from the beginning, then you know you have basically mitigated the entire, you know, all these risks, right?
And it's not a traditional governance per se. Like it's not a policy on paper or a static policy that gets reviewed. We want to be able to make sure that the way we approach governance is something that we can translate to either a privacy control, a security control, so that it's embedded. It's there.
It's embedded. Yeah, it's already there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's how you can scale
Yes,
AI
yes,
responsibly.
Yes, and I guess, you know, one of the other things that people talk about when we try to approach governance, especially in AI, is that cross-industry collaboration, right? Because there are a lot of players that come together in building these autonomous systems, AI-based decision making. So, you know, what's your view on that? You know, how does this collaboration work? And you know, from Globe's perspective, how do you guys deliver that level of assurance?
Cross-industry collaboration, definitely extremely aligned and important, especially for a telco sector like Globe Telecom. When we talk about risk in general, or AI risks to be specific about it, it do not stop from organizational boundaries. Issues like disinformation, fraud, scams, it's everywhere. Risk, data misuse, deepfakes. Yes,
Deepfakes
that's true.
are so astonishing.
Yeah.
The way they look, you know, so
almost real,
so
right?
real. And how do you, I mean, if someone watches a video and then there's the person that you know, and the person is doing exactly, you know, how they do things, and you can't tell whether it's fake or not.
Correct.
Yeah.
So these issues are ecosystem challenges. So what do I mean by that? When we say ecosystem challenges, these are things that cannot be solved by one organization. It cannot be solved by one company. They cannot solve it alone. So that's where the importance of cross-industry collaboration comes in. Cross-industry because they can help align on standards. Globe is heavily active on ISO. So that's the standardization body. So to help align on standards, eventually be able to share risks, we get to share emerging risks and whatnot. And at the same time, eventually, if you can help build interoperable trust frameworks, which is very important and critical for Globe, because trust is part of our infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, you know, in terms of Globe's experience, right, when as a pioneer in this area, and then, you know, you implement a lot of AI-based developments with built-in guardrails, as you say. So that learning and then those lessons that you bring from this experience would definitely benefit your customers and enterprises in, you know, and in the services that you bring, whether it's a retail or to the enterprise customers. I guess you pass that knowledge to them, and that increases the ability to basically the confidence given to your customers to work with Globe, you know, across all sectors. And you know, we have a lot of conversation today about telcos becoming techcos. That means you don't just bring connectivity service, you bring cloud services, and then AI is one of the services that you bring in there. You now provide AI capabilities as well, bundled into the enterprises. If you have the guardrails, then you are bringing AI services that are where the risk has been mitigated, well addressed, and that increases the confidence of your enterprise customers, retail customers. Right?
Because in today's world, trust is your currency.
Yeah.
Right. And for you to be able to get that trust of your customers, you need to be able to make sure that the guardrails, the controls are in place.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess you know that's very interesting, and we know that, you know, these mechanisms are not one or two. This and like you mentioned, you know, we have ISOs, and Globe is part of a driving force in the formation of these ISOs and the implementation. So I guess you know, we can see that, you know, these lessons from Globe would also be contributing to the region's implementation of, you know, AI deployments, you know, both in telco operations and also in general AI that is being used by enterprises in their own operations. So I guess you know, beyond collaboration, it's also contribution to the region and also the globe.
Being able to give back and share that knowledge so that all of us can grow and learn together.
Yes, awesome. And with that, Derick, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having
joining
us here.
Yes, and for sharing all these insights. Excellent. And
Thank
we
you.
look forward to touching base again with more initiatives from your end.
Yes, let's continue to work,
Yes.
to build together, to
Yeah.
learn together
Yes.
for a safe, inclusive, and trusted digital future for everyone.